It's me, the D-O-double-G. Welcome to the Eden Army Podcast with your host tonight, Pete Robert Tucci.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for being here on a Friday night with the Eden Army Podcast. Hopefully we're live. Hopefully everything is working correctly now. Had a minor technical difficulty, but we fixed it, I think, but I'm not sure. So we might be glitchy tonight. If we are, sorry. That's what we get for living out in the woods and having crappy internet. So we'll see how that works. Let's see who's in the house real quick. Actually, it looks glitchy on Kick a little bit, but we'll figure it out. It's like Angry Russ is in the house. Baby Girl's in the house. Eden Army #1 is in the house. Will Gomez in the house. Well, so we got Terry, of course. Chris, Agnes, thank you for being here, everybody. We got an interesting show tonight. I wasn't going to dive into the news because I really haven't spent this week looking at stuff, but as I did yesterday, I was like, holy crap, a lot has happened. So unfortunately, the news is going to be pretty long, and then we're going to dive in to an IFAK. What is that? What is an IFAK? Do we have one? Do we need one? How does that differ from a regular first aid kit? And there is a big difference, and we're going to go through all of that tonight. Now I can see we're getting a little bit of buffering on Kick. We're just going to roll with it, guys. I'm sorry if we get buffering. Everything looks good on my end as far as I can tell. 16 viewers in the house. One thing I do need to mention is you're going to see in the chat that Botrix is putting up some affiliate links and stuff like that. Clicking on those things helps me out if you're deciding, or if you've decided, or if you're considering buying anything from Harvest Right, if you're considering buying any survival type food, 20-year shelf life stable food. If you're considering any of that, using the affiliate link doesn't cost you anything extra, and it actually helps the program out a lot. The other thing I really would like to see, if it's at all possible, is to get our subscriber count up by the end of the month. I've got a clicker that I'd like to get it done by the end of the month. We got 3 subscribers now, and I'd like to get 10 by the end of the month. So there's some pretty neat things inside of Kick. If you don't want to be a subscriber, you can do a one-time gift sub, which you can see is gift 1 sub, and take first place on the subscription list. But I understand times are tough. If you can't, you can't. I'm going to keep doing it, the podcast, but we have some big things coming down the pipe that, quite frankly, I need some damn cash for. So we're gonna try to start boosting a few things. So let's I think it's $4.99 a month. I got Russ in my ear here. I think it's $4.99 a month. It's like 16 cents a day or something. So if you like the content, help a brother out. Yeah, we're still lagging a little bit. We're still going to go with it though. Make sure you subscribe. Yeah, perfect. So we do have a lot of things coming down the pipe. Like I said, one thing I can't really get into too much, but that's a pretty big expense. But it would be really cool if it actually came to fruition. So we'll see how all that goes. Mama Tooch is in the house. Thank you, Mama. And let's see what we got here. Yep. Hey, Russ, whisper in my ear if you're watching the Kick Live, or if you guys can do something on Kick Live. Are we glitchy on Kick Live? Yeah. So we're still glitchy on Kick Live. That sucks. I'm watching it. Okay. Yep. And apparently Will found something on my website where you can actually download an app for my website. I don't know how he did that. I don't know anything about it, but Will figure it out and get back with us and figure out how you actually did that, because that's kind of cool. But it was not something I set up. It's just maybe something my web server set up. I'm not sure how that happened. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is, Will. I don't know what the glitch is, but we're gonna keep going with it. If it gets too annoying, Russ, Yeah, if it gets too annoying, Russ, just tell me. We'll cancel and try tomorrow night, but not not something I'm willing to stop right now, which is unfortunately. Battle Gnome followed us. Thanks, Battle Gnome, for giving us a follow. I appreciate that. We do have a lot of news. Let's go ahead and get into it. But first, before we get into the news, we do have a sponsor for this evening. So let's run that real quick. And then we're going to get into the news. And then we're going to go into the IFAK conversation.
Good morning. I'm Bill from McNutter Butter Coffee. You just seen a buddy of mine that I met at Mountain Readiness last year brewing himself a cup. In a moment, you're going to hear from another buddy of mine who's a book author named Pete Robertucci talking about our coffee. Why don't you come down to Mountain Readiness this year, the first weekend in May, over in Harmony, North Carolina, get you a fire-roasted, freshly brewed cup of coffee to prepare yourself for being alert and caffeinated in all the classes that you're going to be in, learning how to be a homesteader or survivalist. Hope to see you there the first weekend in May. Thanks.
Hey, my name is Pete Robertucci. Listen, I know I write about the apocalypse, but there's only one real way to get ready for the apocalypse, and that's with McNutter Butter Coffee. Isn't that right, Sawyer? All right, guys. Outstanding. So I understand we are glitchy tonight. It's normally not like this, but apparently for whatever reason, maybe it's the eclipse. I don't know what's going on, but we'll figure it out for the next podcast. But we are going to keep going. Utah Prepper, thanks for following. We appreciate that. My name is Pete Robertucci, for those of you new people. I'm a post-apocalyptic writer. Also been into preparedness for a very long time. So what we try to do with this channel, and what I've gotten away from the last couple of weeks, is I've gotten actually away from teaching about preparedness. So that's why I start getting into some of my SOPs for my group and going through some of the mandatory minimums that we have. So we are going to... Looks like we just died over there on Kick. Yeah. So, yeah, we're definitely having internet issues. But that's the price you pay, guys, for living in the woods, unfortunately. But this is the first night we've really had an issue with it in the couple of months that we've been doing this kind of thing. So we're going to run through tonight. We're going to go with it, and we're going to get things ironed out for next week for sure. So I apologize. Hey, Jeff Moats over there on YouTube. Jeff, all the cool kids are hanging out on kick.com. So, but definitely stay over there on YouTube until we move the after party over to Kick. Then be more than happy to have you over there. Jeff Moats is a post-apocalyptic author, one of the guys that really supported me when I got started in this whole process. So glad to see him over there on YouTube. Let's dive into the news real quick, guys. Russ, how's the lag? It's getting nasty. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Yeah, but it's still lagging. But anyway, we're going to go with it. Let's go with news from the United States first. Looks like the Department of Justice arrested an Idaho teenager for terrorism. Alexander Macario, 18, was arrested on Saturday for attempting to provide material support and resources to ISIS. In the complaint, the defendant swore an oath of loyalty to ISIS and planned to wage an attack in its name on churches in Idaho, said Attorney General Garland. Thanks to the investigation efforts of the United States FBI, the defendant was taken into custody before he could act and is now charged with attempting to support ISIS's mission of supporting terrorism and violence. You know, here's the thing about this, and we'll run this news clip here in a second, but here's the thing about this. I can't wait to see the court transcripts for this case. You know, the FBI has an interesting investigation process. They've been known to find a disgruntled person and then prod them into formulating a plot. Then, as soon as that person actually begins planning, they arrest them. And the agency's been caught a number of times doing just this, most recently in the insurrection of J6. So, interesting stuff. Let's watch this video and see what happens.
Out a massive terror attack.
Yeah, the FBI says the plot included several assaults on multiple churches in and around his hometown. The teen, who they said pled allegiance to ISIS, was taken into custody one day before the plan was set to be in motion. ABC's M. Wen has more.
The FBI announcing an 18-year-old from Idaho arrested just hours before his alleged planned terror attack on multiple churches in his hometown of Coeur d'Alene. Alexander Mercurio seen here, knife in hand, expressing his allegiance to ISIS, according to the Justice Department's criminal complaint.
There's been a steady stream of people attempting to promote ISIS, to be involved in potential attacks. And this, I think, is another example of self-radicalization, where you have an 18-year-old that gets caught up in the whole idea of what ISIS is.
The FBI says Mercurio's plot involved a murderous rampage using knives and firearms to kill parishioners. He also planned to use butane canisters to set their houses of worship on fire, going from church to church until he was killed by police. The affidavit says Mercurio sent an audio file to an FBI confidential and that his plan grew more precise, where he would, quote, incapacitate.
Video's not playing. Audio is playing of his news report, but not the video's not.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut that one short because we basically get the gist of what's going on there. And I kind of heard Mama Teresa in the background too, Russ. So it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting to see exactly what gets redacted out of the court case as far as all of this stuff's kind of concerned, because, like I said, the FBI has a way of prodding people into doing what they want, especially when there's a debate for FISA going on right now in the House, which apparently was settled today. What's next?
I'm coming across this. I'm coming across this.
Yep, because you're not muted. So let's see here. So the rest of so we can hear you guys over there. So in more news from the White House, this is funny. So Death to America chants outside the White House. Pro-Palestinian rally outside the White House. People gathered chanting Death to America. Terrorist supporter Rashid Tlaib, a Democratic representative from Michigan, failed to condemn the attack, or the chanting rather, and actually went on a psychotic rampage against Fox News. Let's see if we can see this.
Squad Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is flat out refusing to condemn a group of protesters in her district who chanted Death to America while at a Ramadan rally. But there was something that she was willing to get mad about.
In your district, people were chanting Death to America. Do you condemn? Do you condemn chants of Death to America?
I don't talk to people that use racist tropes.
Why can't you just say whether or not you condemn people chanting Death to America? Why are you afraid to talk to Fox?
Fox News is not listen, using racist tropes towards my community is what Fox News is about. I don't talk to Fox News.
Is Death to America racist?
Speak to Fox News.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, Dana. She cites these racist tropes without.
So there you go. Terrorist supporter in the House of Representatives failing to say that it's bad to chant death to America. So those are our elected officials, and that's what we have to deal with over there in Washington. So the FISA debates, I talked about FISA. So what is FISA, first of all? FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978. Under the Patriot Act, FISA's power is broadened a little bit. So what actually happened was they were actually able to apply some of those tactics to American citizens without a warrant, I should add. Now, there are some. The HCU in an article claimed that the FISA violates the Fourth Amendment, which pertains to unreasonable search and seizure. Also, the Fifth and 14th Amendment, which guarantees the right to due process. So during the FISA debates, the FBI and Homeland Security have raised terror levels in the United States, which in my opinion is to bolster support for one of their greatest tools, which is FISA. And should a terrorist attack happen during these debates, you can bet your last dollar that the Democrats are going to say that it's the for holding up the bill. Johnson met with representatives and says, GOP, Speaker of the House, by the way, said Americans will die if FISA is not kept intact. Marjorie Greene says there's no difference between former Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Mike Johnson. Let's see what she says.
Congresswoman, where do things stand on the motion to vacate?
I went over this yesterday. I sent a letter out to my colleagues yesterday morning. The current discussions in our conference meeting this morning is about being clear and obvious and being whispered among the conference. Mike Johnson does not have the support of the conference. The letter that I sent has been well received, and it was basically speaking the quiet part out loud. He's in there urging members to reauthorize FISA, and I don't think he has the votes for it right now, is what I'm gathering. We're going to be working on this. We do not believe in warrantless spying on the American people, especially when this bill carves out the ability for Congress to be notified when a member of Congress is going to be looked at through the FISA court. That's completely unfair. The same thing should apply for the American people. But Mike Johnson doesn't have the trust of the conference, and that's become very clear.
Are you know on the rule?
So there you go. And in breaking news, actually, that was a tied vote. But Denise, I know I keep cutting out. How is it over there, Russ? Pretty bad?
Teresa's listening, and she says it looks good.
Okay, good.
But,
we'll keep carrying on.
Speaking...
Hold on,
yeah,
you're hot.
With the FISA...
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead, Russ.
Okay. With the FISA, I definitely don't agree under the Patriot Act that they shouldn't be spying on Americans unless they have a warrant that in some way of knowing, for instance, like that kid in Idaho that you talked about. Maybe it's true, but then again, maybe it's a seed planted like you talked about. However, if they're using it for non-terrorist related information, that's horse shit.
Well, and that's the thing is they don't need a warrant to actually do it, which is problematic for any constitutionalist. That's going to be problematic for anybody that believes in stuff like that. So, I mean, but it looks like it's going to carry on for another 2 years, and the FBI and Homeland Security got their way, regardless of what the Constitution might happen to say regarding that. Let's see what else is going on.
Go through the Senate, yes.
It'll be, yeah, but they already have the votes. It doesn't matter. They had the votes to squish it, and Johnson cast a tying vote to keep it going. So yes, it'll go through the Senate, but if they had the votes, they're going to have the votes in the Senate also. So it's going to be a problem. And here's the thing, it's going to be a problem either way for the House Republicans. If they veto it, if they don't let it pass, and God forbid something happens, and the terror threat has been already raised because of all the illegal immigrants that are coming over the border that are unvetted, they say an attack is imminent within the next couple of weeks. I don't know. Is that just the tail wagging the dog? Not sure. But if, God forbid, something like that were to happen, then the first thing they are going to do is use it for political gain. So kind of stinks, but it is what it is.
Did they raise the terrorist? Did they raise the terrorist attacks up, the terrorist threat up, because they want to make sure it goes through? Look, we had to raise it. We need this.
That's the question. It's one of the most important tools they have in their arsenal, and they don't want to lose it. So that's the question, and only time will tell. And God forbid, like I said, if a terrorist attack does happen, then there's going to be egg on the face for the GOPs. Did you guys see this? The 15th of this month. What's it say? According to the website A15action.com, the group is calling for, and I quote, blocking the arteries of capitalism and jamming the wheels of production. So on the 15th of this month, it looks like they plan on doing whatever type of protesting to stop capitalism in general and to stop trade. So what that means, I don't know, but make sure we plan ahead. And if they decide to block major highways, make sure you put your truck in 4-wheel drive, ladies and gentlemen. Just saying. Well, that's all for the...
Well, and one of the things that... Well, one of the things that Teresa was reading to me about this while we were headed home today is it was odd when she read out the list of all the different places it's going to happen. The places in the U.S., most of them were in blue states. Kind of makes you wonder.
Well, they're in blue states because they know that they're not going to have any repercussions for stopping commerce, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's their mindset right there. So interesting. In the Middle East, what's going on in the Middle East, guys? Let's see if I got anything for the Middle East. I don't think I got anything. Possibly right here. Iran vows. Now, you know that Israel attacked some Iranian assets in Syria. We talked about this last week. Killed 3 generals, I believe, injured a whole bunch of people. Iran vows to strike back, and Israel, after Israel attacked those assets in Syria. Sky News put on a great report on this just yesterday, and instead of regurgitating what they said, we're just going to go ahead and play what they said. And they also give a little bit of insight of why the Israelis have backed off the offensive in Rafah. Let's see what they say.
Turning to the Middle East now, and the US president has told Iran not to attack Israel. President Biden has said that the US's commitment to Israel's security is ironclad, amid concern that Tehran could strike within days. Well, here with me on set is our military expert, Sean Bell. As you can see, Sean, why are we sort of expecting potentially an Iranian attack? Why did President Biden feel the need to say this?
Yeah, good morning, Wilf. It's odd that we're talking about something that might happen when we don't actually know, but it's worth pointing out last week on Monday, there was an attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria, in Damascus. That killed 13 people, including a top Iranian military commander at the time. Now, Israel had no comment, but everybody expects that's where it came from. This is the site of devastation at the time. Ayatollah Khamenei, the Iranian supreme leader, vowed that there will be some sort of punishment for this attack, but Iran generally operates in a really measured manner. Now, there's lots of Iranian proxies operating around the region, as you know, obviously with Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis. But Israel's attack against the Hamas in Gaza has proved that Hamas is no match militarily. And there's no doubt Iran has been doing a lot to try and provide weapons, to provide training, and also to incite Hezbollah, try and rear up as well. US diplomatic messaging has been trying, as you say, to try and pour a bit of cold water on all this. But it's worth pointing out Iran will want to protect its own reputation amongst its regional allies, therefore probably can't leave this attack unanswered.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Unfortunately, what we are going to do to try to fix this lag problem that we're having is I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream to YouTube and to Rumble and see if that fixes our problem over on Kick. So if you guys are not over on kick.com/Pete-Robertucci, get over there because we're going to finish